Welcome to Digifest, and Fest is spot on, our annual festival of technology and teaching and learning in higher and further education. Over the next 2 days, we're celebrating the many different ways technology is vital to our students' learning. And all of this is only possible due to our sponsors. So a really big thank you to our sponsors, Microsoft, MyDay, Tribal, and ProQuest. Thank you. In Jisc, we believe that our children are our most important assets, the nation's most important assets. And with a daughter turning 30 next month, I've got quite a fluid concept of what a child is, much to her chagrin. Anyway, what the next few years will bring for us all, we don't know that. There's a lot of uncertainty around. What I do know is that the nation needs a rich stream of enthusiastic students of all ages hitting the workplace productively with the skills we all need them to have. I also know that everyone in this room wants to do all they can to ensure our children fulfill their potential, have success in their lives in the ways that are important to them. Of course, while we often focus on younger students, quite rightly, lifelong learning is gaining renewed mindshare, and all of this applies equally to mature and part-time students. Now, this is my third Digifest. I've been here just over 2.5 years now. When I started in the sector, digital and use of technology was more of a target to be met in many institutions than seen as a vital force for change and good. Now, I've seen a sea change in senior leadership attitude in both colleges and universities in that time. At the same time, we're seeing the way technology is being used to teach our children is changing. We, and hopefully all here, believe that technology has an increasingly vital role to play, preparing our children, our students, for their future. Using technology to equip our students with the skills they need to fulfill their ambitions is why all of us are here for these 2 days. And the ways to do this have never been more exciting.
More challenging.
1, 2, 6%. In 2 weeks, can you come back and take the bandage off?
Thank you, nurse.
And one of the all-time kings of speed, Sir Malcolm Campbell, was blazed across the Yukon Desert. Bloodhound engine start.
Hi, clear to roll. Wind 2 o'clock, 5 knots.
Velocity. To convert that, a mass flux, into a momentum flux,
the UK has played a major role in space, and having a spaceport in the UK will certainly make it much more real for people.
Systems go. AOCS go.
At 3 p.m, the flood siren rang out, the sound that means flooding is likely.
What I've been researching is making sure that technology is appropriate for the human, right through to things like physiology. How do people react when they're in a virtual world?
Bloodhound SOC is a project to inspire excitement in science and engineering and technology.
Dementia is one of the largest health challenges that our generation faces, and there's still so much left to understand.
That mixed reality with the army was actually filmed here in Birmingham University, just to bring it home. Anyway, so technology in lots of different ways, helping lecturers work with students to fulfill their ambitions. Technology like analytics to help students know they're on track. But also, with some work we're doing with Universities UK, maybe we can spot those patterns. What are those patterns of a student who is suffering, so we can intervene early before their mental health deteriorates to combat the epidemic that's rife on our campuses. Technology like artificial intelligence to help direct students on their learning journeys so that contact time can focus even more on understanding and building those critical skills for their future. Technology, as we highlighted in the video, that's Harrison, the guy in the wheelchair. He's using HoloLens to talk to somebody in a different location. That's Star Wars teleportation in action. That's mixed reality whose time is just coming. I've spoken to a dentistry professor who wants to use HoloLens to see through the eyes of their students and guide them more directly on how to treat teeth. For example, by marking where on the teeth virtually they should be drilling. A much more preferable way, if you ask me, for the patient. Or I was hearing about the School of Pharmacy at Keele University that developed drug cards that, combined with augmented reality, can show the constituents, the effects, and how a drug works. These are even being given to patients to help them understand. Or the admirable Grimsby Institute that I'm due to visit in a couple of weeks, who've developed immersive learning environments using virtual reality that give their students a learning experience they couldn't otherwise have. Now match this to the power of Janet. Up and down the country, colleges and universities are developing simulators to teach marine skills, manage process industries, train engineering, aircraft maintenance and flying, construction, motor, and so on. And these are expensive facilities, and we're now seeing institutions looking at how they can share these facilities remotely, bringing the simulator to the student, as it were, using mixed reality, and match this to the power of Janet so it can happen at low latency, bringing us all the way back to our amazing start. So please, make the most of the next couple of days. Enjoy our fabulous event, explore, find out, and talk to each other about how technology can move the bar and how together we can make a difference. We here in Jisc are passionate about using technology to make the UK the best place in the world to teach and learn. Come join us. We have the power to change lives. Let's do it. Thank you. And talking passion brings me to our keynote speaker. Shakira is nothing if not passionate about students. It exudes from her when you meet her and hear her speak. Her own story is inspirational, and she's relentless in pursuing students' best interests. So it's with great pleasure I ask you to give a fabulous Digifest welcome to our NUS president, Shakira Martin.
Thank you very much. Wow, it's big up here. Hello, everyone. Good morning. No, I need a bit more energy than that. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. If this was my students. One more time. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. You have to come with the energy. You've got to come with the energy. You get as much out as what you put in. And I'm a very energetic person. First of all, before I go on to my script, I really want us to give us another round of applause for my membership, the students from the Royal College of Music and Edinburgh Napier. So can we give them another round of applause? To be honest, this is what I really love about my job, representing such talented and diverse students. And to come here and for them to have the opening of this conference today is really, really, I feel like a proud parent. I was standing by there like, go. Anyway, back to script. So hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, Paul. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Shakira Martin, and I'm the president of the National Union of Students. As only the second ever president from NUS coming from an FE background, I know personally the challenges that so many of us face in accessing education. But if we hope to overcome these challenges, we need to be forward-thinking. We need to be inventive in our approach. And we are witnessing a new growth of digital technologies, which are transforming the ways in which we communicate and interact with one another, not only locally, but globally too. So what can this change offer to students and the education sector as a whole? Well, this is a golden opportunity to change the landscape of how we access education. When people think of the average students, many assume it's the 18-year-old studying at university. But let me be abundantly clear. There is no expiry date on being a student. Many of us in this room could identify as students. Oh, thank you. You see, I just worked it, though. Thank you. I was like, where's the thing? But I wasn't going to let you know. Our student body is diverse. We see increasing numbers of student parents, students who are working and who are studying distant learning. And as our student body continues to grow and change, we must have an education system that is changing with it too. With the you know that word? With the technological innovations, we have the potential to drive real change in how education is accessed and delivered. And there are many challenges still to come too. With Brexit looming over the heads of the sector and the country, the skill gap persisting, we need to be ready to train up a new, vast, skilled workforce. But how will this group be able to balance earning a wage and learning at the same time? Digital innovation here offers a great deal of potential. Digital technologies could provide many solutions to many challenges facing the education sector. Because we know that the challenges facing the sector are very many and varied. There is a 50% decline in the number of part-time students entering education, a statistic that many of us would have heard here before. But please, let's not sweep this under the carpet. By any means, this is something that needs to be addressed. There are students who, for so many reasons, from struggling with the cost of living to juggling work and studies, have been let down by the current system, which is not catering for their needs. And we see the same with adult learners too. The adult education budget has been fiercely cut, and as a result, we have lost 1 million adult learners. That's 1 million missed opportunities of possibilities. That weren't in the speech, but I like that. I'm a one-liner type of girl. The key question here is how can we use digital learning to improve access for both part-time and adult learners? There is nothing more important to us at NUS than ensuring that students and learners are able to access education which cater for their needs. And that's why I'm so proud of the work that NUS is doing, along with other stakeholders in the sector, on how we can look at how online learning is perceived amongst adult learners. And we are committed to looking at the true value of online learning and digital methods that can help achieve flexible and accessible learning for all students. Because for many students, our current education system is too inflexible. And this is at a time where we need our education system, which is more flexible and able to provide the right education and training for individuals at the time and in the manner that works for them. Jobs will become increasingly digital over the next few years, and we shouldn't assume that people will have the developed digital skills through their everyday lives. Rather, institutions can play a role in providing a learning environment that develops digital skills whilst learning in their trade or subject. And in order to provide a skilled workforce, which this country so desperately needs, come 2019, we need to make sure our education system is adaptable for what is to come, and to cater for our diverse student body. And learners, funny enough, do recognise that they need to have digital skills. Quite often, it's those younger learners who are early adapters of digital technology and the innovators of the future. I know my 6-year-old, my phone is full up of makeup games and princess games. My daughter, my 4-year-olds like to play Candy Crush and Temple Run. And also, I found it a bit weird. My daughter was touch typing the other day. These are the type of skills that, because they're using technology, that they've been able to do. When NUS launched the FE Unplugged campaign during my time as Vice President Further Education, we spoke to student representatives from over 120 colleges across the country. And we asked them, what are their expectations of high-quality education? And one question in particular was to find out how they thought digital technology worked and whether it had a place in both further and higher education. And the response was positively overwhelming. Young people do believe that it can help them prepare for the world of work. But this can't and shouldn't be in replacement of face-to-face interaction with tutors, teachers, or on-the-job training. We also need to look at the role of digital technologies in the application process, because we know that the application process in itself has major barriers for many. In particular, those like myself who don't come from families with experience in post-compulsory education. Let me just get real with you and just come off record. The thought, how many of us have got a passport? Put up our hands, please. Okay, that is a lot of us. Further education students, because of the diversity of those that are coming into that provision of education, many of them coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, working class backgrounds, they've never travelled the country, out of the country. They have never had the means to be able to get a passport. When you're coming from a family of 6, whose parents, and you're not working, you're a single family, that's £90 times 6. You work out the maths to get a passport. But then when you move from further education into higher education, thinking, yes, I've overcome those barriers. To get student finance, you've got to do all these security checks, which is understandable, but then it gets to the part of having a passport. Not only then do they have to find the money to get a passport, which is £90, when apprentices, single parents are living on £35 a week, work out how long it will take to save up for a passport. Then when you get the passport, you need to get a counter-signature. I'm so happy, as NUS president, I'm happy to sign passports for my membership. I mean, that's a £25 charge at a doctor's surgery. But we laugh. £25 can feed a family for a week. Again, this is another barrier. But for those that do have a passport, and that's the only form of identification that they have, that needs to get sent off to Scotland to the Funding Council. And in between that time, that person loses their bank card or loses another form of paperwork. And they don't have a passport, they have to wait 6 weeks for their passport to be resent. This is ultimately making people not be able to eat. These are the type of real barriers that my students are facing on the ground. And it means that we need to look at what information we require for applicants. Obviously, again, including ID and a criminal background. Of course, ensuring institutions have all the information they require is important, but that this is done sensitively and with the awareness of differences and challenges certain prospective students face. We also need to look at how digital learning can be of the highest quality across further education, higher education, and adult education. This is where we can learn an important lesson from the work organisations like Jisc and the Student Engagement Partnership are doing, for which NUS are proud members of. Our work with Jisc, such as our benchmarking toolkit, is one example of how we can make changes in providing resources to institutions to help improve student experience. And as part of this, more crucially, it is ensuring that students are at the centre and forefront of this change. I've said it time and time again. Students should be partners in co-creating their own digital experience, and findings from Jisc studies firmly support this. Our benchmark tool is a starting point for discussions between staff and students in working together to improve the digital learning environment and improve education as a whole. We need to invest in our students. The power and the space is not just able, and the power and space to be able to co-create knowledge and learning, but also allow them greater responsibility in the decisions and policies that make up their wider learning experience and environment. But the buck doesn't stop here. Digital technologies can go further in helping learners access education. It could also help strengthening the student voice and student engagement. We know that digital technologies can also aid in allowing students to engage in democratic participation in their students' unions, from online surveys to accessing multiple resources. It can often be a struggle for some students to feel excluded from participating in democracy. But the work NUS has conducted in this field shows that there is more that we can do in this area, and more that we will be doing in this area, to ensure that student voice is heard loud and clear and no longer will be ignored or sidelined. So, to close, believe it or not, I'm optimistic about the future of digital learning and how it links to the whole of tertiary education. The education landscape is consistently changing, and in order for the government to fulfill their ambitions of delivering a skilled workforce as part of the industrial strategy, it is vital that we have an education system that is adaptable and flexible for all learners. I'm going to say that 2 more times because they say the power of 3. It is vital that we have an education system that is adaptable and flexible for all learners. I'm going to say it 1 more time, and if you can tweet this, you might get a free NUS extra card. Sorry, NUS. We've got to give out a free NUS extra card. They hate when I do that. I do it very often. It is vital that we have an education system that is adaptable and flexible for all learners. So, when we look at digital learning, let's not forget about the student voice. We need to engage them, encourage them, equip them, because ultimately, they will be the driving force behind the future of the tech industry. Thank you very much for your time.
You happy to take some questions? Yeah. Thanks very much, Shakira, for that great talk, which I'm sure has left all of us with a lot of food for thought. Well, we've got some time, and Shakira's kindly said that she's happy to take some questions. So if any of you want to ask her about how to program or
I mean, nothing could
how to do Candy Crush, I can do Candy Crush.
Well, I don't really like Candy Crush, but that's a whole other subject. And, you know, I'm used to taking questions. Nothing can be as hard as my NEC at times, so please challenge.
So there's some paddles around as well. So anybody got some questions? There's one over here. Yeah.
So you talked about digital tech being a great way to increase access to education, which is a great goal. I'm just wondering if you've got any thoughts on how or what examples of what it might be.
I think firstly, this needs to be a part of a wider discussion. I don't think right here and on the spot I can come up with the solution.
Sure.
But I think what we need to recognise in how we move forward is the diversity of our membership. So with the education provision changing, apprentices being a key thing for the government, FE and HE provision and more colleges doing higher education courses, but also distance learners. I think that there needs to be a tool that is easily accessible, but also I think that what we start to kind of think is that everybody has access to internet, everybody has access to a smartphone. And again, when it comes down to working class people and those from deprived backgrounds, no one isn't going to say I don't have internet at home. So how can we work with local libraries, local communities, to be able to have access within these areas so that people from households that don't have the technology to be able to access it can do that? It's one thing getting this online resource, which is great, but if it's not truly accessible to everybody, then it's almost pointless. It works hand in hand. But I'm really excited over the work that we're doing so far in NUS, and I'm definitely going to bring together a diverse range of students and work with Jisc and other stakeholders in actually coming up with something that is tangible and credible.
One over in the middle here. Can you wait for the microphone? Otherwise,
Hi, yeah. Do you think that there's been a blurring between the boundaries of FE and HE? And if so, what does that mean for the student experience?
Yeah. So many of you know that FE is at my heart, it's in my blood, I'm FE for life. And further education provides a unique experience, an experience that many students that go into further education are sometimes returning learners, maturer learners, and they just have the goal to finish their course. So I know that when I got into my further education college after 10 years, I know I look young in that, but I'm going to be 30 this year. But when I got into further education, I never had the ambition or the thought to go to university. Right now, I'm still kind of thinking whether I need to go to university, but I never had the thought. I think what we need to recognise is the unique provision that further education provides in giving people a lifeline, a second, a third chance. And I'm really happy that we need to look at how education is provided across the whole of the education landscape, but recognising not everybody's good at everything. There's some organisations that would be better at providing higher education, there's some at both, but it's not about, it's like healthy competition. For me, it's about making sure people get through the door. And many of you might have heard me say, it's not just about getting in, so it's not about just once you fill out the UCAS application process, the digital experience is finished. It's about once you get on, how can we ensure that you're part of your campus community? How can we ensure that you are up to date with the information and the different enrichment programs that are going on? So, I love FE. I'm excited about the future of it, but I think that we do really need to get on board as a sector and a society to actually understanding the true value of further education and the unique experience it provides. If it wasn't for my FE college, I would never have been here. I'm a girl, most of the speech that I gave today, I'm speaking from life experiences. When we talk about criminal records, I didn't know I was going to be NUS president. If I did, I probably would have made some better choices in my younger days. But that shouldn't be a barrier. I think one of the things and one of my key messages is we go to university, we go to college to gain qualifications in our chosen profession. But one thing that each and every student has is adversity. That is a lifetime qualification in overcoming barriers and challenges to get to that point where you want to apply for college. So I kind of bridged it and kind of just said what I wanted to say, but I hope that kind of answered your question. Yeah.
Thanks. You're turning 30 this year.
I am.
I feel so old.
Mature intergeneration. This is
Absolutely.
what's good about,
Absolutely.
You know.
Did you hear me say my daughter's turning 30?
I heard you say that. So.
See, I've got to stop thinking of you as a child.
No, yeah.
Next question. Or was that shut everybody up?
No, I would want...
Oh, there's one down here.
And there's one up there too.
Okay, let's take the one up there and then we've got time. Where did you
That
sit?
lady, yeah.
Okay, yeah, up there.
Sorry, this is a very practical question.
No
You mentioned the benchmarking tool. I was just wondering where I could find it and what it actually benchmarks.
Yep, so they didn't put that bit in my speech. But if you go on the NUS Connect website, I know I haven't personally been leading on this piece of work. It's been one of my other vice presidents, so I don't know the in-depth DL of it, but I'm sure that my NUS press office is watching the hashtag. So Holly, please could you put it on the Jisc hashtag for the people to be able to see. I'll get that over to you ASAP.
Great, thanks. And there's a question just down here.
Going back to what you were just talking about between further education and higher education, in your opinion, would you think that digital technology is actually more important in further education, given the variety in the students that are there and why they're there and what their backgrounds are?
Again, I think it's not a one-size-fits-all, and I think that's what we try to do in this education sector very often is have a one route that covers everybody, but everybody has a unique experience. I think there is definitely a place for digital technology in further education, as I do in higher education. I think it's about making sure that education is truly accessible for everybody. So whether that is face-to-face, whether that is digital, but not losing that face-to-face aspect, the learning from each other, the being in an educational environment and learning from different experiences and bringing together that. So there is definitely a place, but I just don't think it's one or the other. It's almost like blended learning, in my opinion. Yeah.
Any last questions? Time probably for one more.
I wish my NEC was like this. When they say, have you got any questions, they're like,
well, you're hanging around for a while, aren't you?
Yeah,
So you'll find Shakira out in the exhibition. So I think it just remains for me to thank you again.
Thanks.
So that's the end of the keynotes. Please enjoy the conference, ask questions, be inspired. Be as passionate as Shakira, and like Shakira, change lives. Enjoy the next couple of days. Thank you.